it's very sad for me to say, oh my God, if you have reached out to me like 1 year ago, this would be possible.
Hello and welcome to the show. I'm very excited to have Lara back. It's been a while since you were on the show, and the work you're doing is so important. If this is your first time meeting Lara, shame on you. You should have seen her the first time. It was really good. So go back and listen to her when she was on here before. But welcome back, Lara. How are you?
I'm very good, and I'm so glad to be here again. It's always a pleasure. So thank you so much, Scott, for the time and the space.
Yes, well, I'm excited. What you're doing is so important, I think so helpful. Tell us just very briefly, for those who are just jumping in or need a reminder, what is it you do at GP Athletics and how it's going to connect with families?
I create GPAthletes because of my own experience, because I went to the US with a tennis scholarship. I was not motivated at all with my academic experience and my athletic experience. I didn't feel value. So basically, GPAthletes is that, like giving families and students the information, the tools, the support to go to the US or even Canada if they want to study and develop not only academically and athletically, but also personally, but more importantly to feel value in the process, because I know that anyone can go and there is so many people doing this, but what I want is to feel value doing this, and also the student feel the same way.
Yeah, I think that's huge. And I apologize. I say when I refer to GP athletes, I often say athletics, and it's just a frame of mind. And you just keep correcting me. I'm sorry. I know it's athletes, and I can see it on the board right behind your head. I still get it wrong, but I think this is so important. And I think as a parent, I want my child, even though they're now adults, nearly adults, I still want them to be valued. And I think in athletics and in sports and in general, there's such a sense of athletes as a commodity, as that are kind of bought and traded. And we see that in athletics, somebody's traded to this, and there's something very uncomfortable about that. And one of the things that I've really appreciated in my conversations with you and the way you do your work is the value that you have for the students that you work with. And I certainly, if that's something I would want for not only my child, birth child, but also for any of the students that I'm working with, if you're looking at a sports career and looking at college sports as part of that path, making sure that you're valued in that process, I think is so important, and not just valued for your potential earnings or the money that you'll make, but valued as a person. I suspect, and we've talked about this a little bit, that there's a lot of misinformation about this whole process. What are some of those misconceptions that you would like to help us clear up a little bit?
Yeah, that's true. I have them even myself or in my family years ago. The first one, for example, is that this is only for the ones that are top athletes or A plus in academics. And it's not true, because in the US, fortunately, there is so many colleges, universities, and there's so many sports and teams. So as I say in my previous podcast, that I like to say, there's always a place for everyone. I do believe this. That's why I say it so many times. So that's one of the beliefs that I want to break, that you don't have to be top number one in everything and the moment that you want to get a scholarship in the US. Actually, the opposite, because in the US, for example, the coaches, they want to see the potential. They want to see, okay, like where you were, like for example, 2 years ago, where are you now, and where can you be in the next 2 years, 3, 4 years. So they value more that than the actual level in the moment. So that's one of the things that I want to break. And it's like, if you don't know if you can go, just get information, like ask people, like, try to do it, because you always have the no.
Yeah, and I think,
That's
yeah, that's what's so valuable. I think working with you is being connected to somebody who understands how the system works, lived the system, and is not beholden, or like you're not working for a specific school with just like a specific number of students in a specific program, but you actually help them find. So literally, a person can come in at any level, and you can help them for sure understand, okay, I could continue my sport at the next level. If I have potential, it needs to be developed. That's what American coaches, both American, North, both Canada and US, that's what their specialty is. Like, is in developing talent. And so if that's something that you're wanting to have happen, if you say, hey, I think I have the potential to play lacrosse at this high level, or tennis, or swim, or play basketball, whatever the sport is, I think I have the potential, but it's not getting, I'm looking for a way to get it developed. And I want to tie my education into this. And I think that's huge. So I'm going to ask this kind of the opposite way, Laura. So I don't mean to throw you off, but is there kind of a profile of like the kind of student that you love to work with?
I love to work with any student at the beginning because since the moment they contact me, I know that their motivation is to step out of the comfort zone and try to get better in their life, so starting from there, I love to work with any of them. I actually love the process so much, like
Mm,
once I'm with them, it's different with any of them. But I will say that one of the skills that I value, and I know that universities in the US, they also value that, is the proactivity, that you speak up for yourself. So I have a lot of families and students. I see the age different a lot, because when I'm talking with a student that is not 18, for example, yet, and is more like 16, then the parents are more involved, which is normal and it's okay. But then some of the students, when they reach out to me and they're already like 19, I can see that they are more mature, and the parents are not in the process most of the time, they are just like in the second scene to support, but it's the student the one that say, okay, I want this, let's do this, here are the documents, what I had to do. And I like that because the process in GP athletes, one of the values is actually like active participation. I don't want the student and the family to be passive in the process. I want them to be part of it. So when the student comes with this attitude, like, okay, like I want to know what's going on with the process, I want to be part of it, I love that, because that's what I want to create, that active process between me and the student and the family.
yeah. And I think that kind of breaks the stereotype that folks like you and I who are in this arena who like to come alongside. It's come alongside. It's not do it for you. And people
Yeah.
think that, oh, if I pay somebody, I'm paying them to do something for me, and that's not at all what I do. It's very much that again, the proactivity is so important. This needs to be something that you want for yourself. That's the determinator of success, not my knowledge. My knowledge makes it easier for you. Your knowledge makes it much easier. It removes a lot of the barriers, but it doesn't mean that you're not involved in the process. What would be maybe the most common reason somebody doesn't contact you and you think they probably should?
It's true that many times are the students the one that contact me, and then there are the parents that they don't give them the opportunity to have a simple call with me to actually know about the process or what is this. And one of the main reasons I think is because of the money. Like they think it's gonna be super expensive for them, and that the system outside the US is completely different from families. Like we don't really save money as in the US for college. So thinking about going to a US university for them is like, oh my God, it's gonna be very expensive, and it's not true. And actually, many times with families, I compare with them private universities here, for example, in Europe, and they can be even more expensive than going with a scholarship to the US. And why? Because when the price of a private university here in for example, in Spain, that where I'm right now, it's only tuition, and it can be even more than the whole package in the US. Because when you go to the US with a scholarship, the total cost that the out of pocket that the family is gonna pay is like tuition, is all the amenities, housing, food, even the clothes, athletic clothes, the trainer, yeah, even the trainers, and also like competitions, everything. Like literally, the student doesn't have to pay anything if they don't want to, only like personal things. So when you compare this, then you actually realize that okay, it's more affordable than more people think about. And also, I don't want to compare like in the same level, because when you stay in your country and go to any kind of university, it doesn't matter if you pay or not, you are just paying for the university, the academics, right, the tuition. But when you are I don't like say paying, because I would say investing. That's what I like to say. When you're investing in an education, in this experience in the US or even Canada, you are actually investing for your child's future, because it's a whole experience. It's not just the tuition, it's not just the diploma, it's the language, the experience, the friends, all the skills that they're gonna get, even like future opportunities with their jobs, everything, the maturity that they're gonna get. So that's why for me, when they come to me, I say like, oh my god, it's gonna be very expensive. Like, first of all, there's separate things, because it's not the same thing going to your country, like stay in your country and going to the US. And then secondly, like, let's put the numbers on the table, because it depends. It depends. Sometimes it can be much cheaper than we thought.
Pardon the interruption. Thanks for listening to this episode of Global Student Voices. We're glad you're here. We try really hard to provide good content for international school leaders, parents, and students. But to know what you want to hear, we need to hear from you. So please reach out and let us know what you'd like to hear next. Now, back to the show. Yeah, I think I have the same issue with families. They just assume that, oh, I can't afford this university or I can't afford that university. And even without athletic scholarships, in most cases, it's just different. Like the American system in Canada is similar. That it's just very different than in most countries. In Africa, here's the tuition rate. That's what everybody pays. A school in the US on their website may say tuition is this amount, but nobody pays that, right? I mean, it's just not a number. Like nobody, that's like the maximum anyone, if you're rich and you just want to pay, then you can pay that. But very, very few students actually pay that tuition rate. That's just the starting. It's more like a bartering system. That's where the price starts. But then there's a whole big conversation, and it's about how badly you want to go and how badly they
Yeah.
want you to come, and then you find the number that works. It is unusual. It's weird. And when you bring in athletics to it, it becomes a whole nother conversation. And I think it's the wrong place to start, right? I mean, it's just obviously you can't go if we can't work out the finances. But that's a question that comes much later. Let's figure out what you're wanting to do and then see how that works out. You've kind of addressed the financial misunderstanding about what it's going to cost. And there's so much media coverage of students ending up in so much debt and all of that. And that's just not been my experience working with students either. And I think a lot of that debt came from bad choices that they didn't have to make. They just didn't have all the information. And then you talked about that kind of athletic levels. You don't have to be the very best of the best of the best for this to be reasonable. So is there a way for a student athlete or a family to kind of assess whether or not thinking about athletic scholarship is a good idea for them? Like who fits that category?
Well, for sure. I always say, like, asking and talking, it's free, anyone can do it. So I always say, like, let's talk. Let's see, what do you want, where you are, what do you need, and also reach out as soon as possible. Because let's say, like, a student come to me and say, I want to go to the US, and I see all the whole profile, and there, if they want to get a bigger scholarship, maybe they need extra support in academics because they have to do, for example, the SAT, right, the exam. So if we know if we know this in advance, then we can actually prepare the student to get that exam, and that's gonna give them like extra scholarship. Same with athletics, like if you reach out with enough time, then you can prepare better, you can create a better video, you can give more to the coach. So that's, I always say that the first time that you're thinking about this, don't keep thinking, just take action. It's something that we don't really do most of the time, even myself in other areas in my life. It's like we keep thinking so much, and the fear is like the fear control us, we don't take action, and it's like, what are you gonna lose, so just go for it, and then we will figure it out. And if not, one of the things about GPAthletes too is transparency. If at some point we see that the profile or situation or whatever is not going to work right now, we're going to tell you. We're not going to start the process with false promises. We're going to say, okay, if we do this, we're going to get this. But if we don't get this, then we're not going to be able to reach this. That's it.
Yeah, I think that's so important. So basically, the message is if you're listening to this and any part of you thinks, is there a way for sports and academics to come together as part of my college university experience? Then you just need to book with Lara and have a conversation. That's where it starts. And you know, if you're grade 8, grade 9, doesn't matter. You just you need to reach out and start the conversation, because then you can make educated decisions along the way. If you just wait, then you lose potential opportunities.
Yeah, probably too late, and I know then we regret, even myself, because it's very sad for me to say, oh my God, if you have reached out to me like 1 year ago, this would be possible. And I have, for example, like 1 month ago, a person from Mexico reached out to me, and he was just like 1 year late because of the age gap. And I was like, oh my God, I knew you like reached out to me earlier, and he said like, I know, but I always thought that it was impossible for me, so I never reached out.
Yeah. So use that guy as the example to say, don't wait, don't assume that you can't do it. Have the conversation and verify it and see if this opportunity is available to you and your family. What's great for easy for me is to recommend and say this is a safe conversation. You're talking to somebody who's not going to try to take advantage of you. They're not going to try to take your money. They're not going to try anything. This is somebody who genuinely wants to help people and who had a really good experience and can share that good experience with you, and you can have that for your family. So is there any last word of recommendation that you would have for maybe for schools, school leaders, on how to direct students that have this potential? Like, how do you guide a student toward you and toward your services?
Well, I would say like provide them with information like right away. I always say that access to information is literally connected to success and opportunities. So in the school environment, as you say, is very important because the student trusts that environment, the parents they trust the environment too, the teachers and everything. So if you know about this, just give them the information. Then of course, like the contact, like they can go to the website. They, I just say, they can reach out whenever they want. It's just that simple, it's just here's the information. If you have any questions, please reach out, don't hesitate it, let's move forward with it.
I think it can be really helpful to your even to your sports teams that are currently in action at your schools. Just share this information with them. You already know that they're interested in athletics. You already know that they're interested in sports and recognize the value that sports bring. We offer sports in schools because we know that it's valuable. Share this information because it could create an opportunity for your families that they don't even have not ever considered. Um, and
And also like give them different motivation to study for the students, because I bet that it happened to you, because it happened to me and happened to most of us, like when we're in school at those age, like 15, 16, it's like, oh my God, I don't want to study, like why I'm studying this is so boring. But if you give them another path, that is not a traditional path of going to your closest university in your country, and everything, then they may have a different motivation to study. And this is going to help the school too, and the teachers and everyone and the whole world, because when we have people and students like motivated, then we can do anything. So that's for me, like I even came to the US like a long time ago because I wasn't motivated with my life, and then I went there and I start having motivation because I have a goal. So that's for me, it's so important. So let's give them like the motivation that many students need right now.
that is perfect and a perfect way to end this episode. Thank you so much for being a great guest, and we look forward to having you again. If people need to reach you, they can find the contact information in the description of this video or the audio, wherever you're listening or hearing this podcast. Reach out to Laura, GPAthletes. Create an opportunity for dreams to come true, because that's what we're all in this for.
Yes, thank you so much, Scott. It was amazing.
Thank you. I'm so grateful you stayed till the end. This was a great episode, and I hope it was really helpful to you. Again, we'd love to hear your feedback. But we also wanted to make you aware of some of the other ways that you can connect with Global Student Solutions. Global Student Voices is a service of Global Student Solutions. We also provide books and resources like you see behind me, as well as a variety of other services, educational content, and consulting. So we would love to connect with you. And at the very least, if you can follow us and subscribe on our YouTube channel. We also have a membership program coming up, and we'd like you to be the first member. So let us know, get your name on the list, and we'll make sure that you're the first to join the membership community. Thank you, and have a great day.